In today's video, we're going to be taking a good look at this fascinating and heavy book from Memphis to Taipei, Volume 1. Later in the video, I want to return briefly to the topic of last week's video, which was the origins of the music on these two Taiwanese records, because I got quite a few interesting responses to that video, including one from none other than Dick Decker, one of the writers of this book here. Now, Dick and I actually know each other, and we've actually been working on a project together for the past few months, and I'm hoping to be able to make an announcement about that in the near future, say when I get to 1,000 subs. But full disclosure, Dick actually sent me this book a few months ago. He didn't ask me to review it, I actually asked him to review it, and he said yes. So I'm going to give you my honest opinion about the book, and hopefully I can do it some justice. And in order to show you what's in here, I'll have to go over to my desk. Okay, so what we're dealing with here is a reference guide to the colorful magic of Elvis's Asian vinyl, and the authors have focused specifically on these 6 countries and territories: South Korea, Thailand, Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, and Hong Kong. The vast majority of the records in the book come from Korea and Taiwan, and this is an LPs only book. There are no singles or any other type of release in here. So the first thing I think that's important with a reference guide like this is that the book is well made, and the binding on this book is very, very good. You're going to be dipping in and out of a book like this hundreds of times over the years, so you want one that's going to withstand that kind of use, and this certainly looks like a book that will. The paper is very high quality, thick, glossy paper, and the images are also very, very sharp. You can actually read the song titles on the covers and also on the labels. At the beginning of the book also, there is an interesting discussion on the nature of these albums. Are they bootlegs? Are they counterfeits? Are they what? A lot of them are of very dubious legality. And there's also an interesting section on actually buying records in Asia. It's certainly sounds like a very different experience to wandering into a nice clean second-hand shop in Tokyo. I'm working my way to the back here just to show you how many pages there are in the book, and also to discuss how the book is laid out, and also to show you how many releases are in here. While we're at the back here, there's a couple of very good indexes. The first one is by title, or rather by company and catalog number, and there's also another index by title, I believe. Yeah, there you go. So sometimes the title of these albums is not very clear. All you can go by is the catalog number or the company, the record label. So it's good to have both of those there at the back. Okay, so let's take a look at the very last entry in here, which is from Thailand. And what they do is they go in alphabetical order from Hong Kong through to Thailand. The very last entry here is number 514, so you get well over 500 albums in here, and we're up to page 503, so over 500 pages in this book. So let's have a good look at this page here. It's the very best of Elvis Presley, Volume 2 from Thailand. You've got the front cover, you've got the back cover, and then you've got the labels, and you've also got a picture of the full record. You might wonder why take a picture of the whole record. Well, that's because a lot of Asian records were pressed on vinyl other than black vinyl. So you've got lots of reds, oranges, and blues, and you may have seen some as I was flicking my way through the book there. So right away on this 2-page spread here, you can see that there are a lot of unique releases that came out of Asia. And quite a few of the most striking releases get their own full-page spread. So if I can show you a couple of examples that I found earlier. This one here, for example, Pop Song of Memory Volume 2. That is a real striking cover. You'll notice that this one here has a picture of Anne Margaret on the front, as well as Elvis. And there are quite a few covers in the book which have pictures of Elvis with his co-stars and other attractive women as well. Let's take a look at another one. There you go. So this has got nothing to do with Elvis, although Elvis's music is on there. You can always see what country you're at by looking at the top of the page there. And here's another example of Elvis and women. Really beautiful cover from the Girls, Girls, Girls film. This album has really nothing to do with Girls, Girls, Girls. It's a various artists compilation called Love is Blue. And let's take a look at another one. Here's a smart looking compilation from Malaysia, Elvis Presley's Golden Hits. And you can see the back cover on the next page. In fact, this is a variant here. So what do we learn looking through all these pictures of records and labels? Well, there are a lot of various artist LPs that I've just touched on already that feature Elvis on the cover. So if we take a look at one, there are lots of them in this book, but I'll pick one out for you here. Okay, Oasis, the Best of Top Tunes, Volume 1. So this looks like it could be a Frankie and Johnny soundtrack, but in actual fact it's a various artists compilation with only one Elvis song on it, Are You Lonesome Tonight? And you can see that there are a couple of different versions of this one. And they do include all the variants when they are known. And if I can just show you another example of that. An album that you're probably all familiar with by now. The one and only Golden Story. There you go, on the right there. These are all different versions of Golden Story from Taiwan with the different back and front covers, slight differences there. And on the next page you've got the 3 label designs and all in different colors here as well. On the right side, this is actually the same album but released on a different record label. I'd be interested to know if that one has the Japanese matrix number as well. This could simply be a rip-off of the yellow one. There are a lot of other examples like this one where they've basically taken an album that was released in another country and basically copied it. There's no attempt to pass it off as a Victor original, for example. So if we take a look down here at this copy of Roustabout, you can see it's got Chinese writing on here, it's got a unique catalogue number, and of course the quality of the printing is very, very poor. On the back side there, they've got the lyrics on the back, and this is actually taken directly from the inside sleeve of the Japanese pressing. The font, the layout, the mistakes, everything is exactly the same. In fact, I found one record in here, a copy of Girls, Girls, Girls. It actually has the song titles in Japanese, even though it's either a Taiwanese or a Korean release. Quite a lot of records came in generic sleeves like the ones you can see on these 2 pages here. These are on the King label and the various artist compilations with just 1 or 2 Elvis songs. Here are some more here as well. And sometimes these sleeves, generic sleeves, actually feature a picture of Elvis, even though he wasn't on the album or the record. So this one here on the right, BB Record, this is actually a cover that had nothing to do with Elvis's music. Also, you can find a lot of familiar cover art with unfamiliar track listings. So this album on the right here from Malaysia, Oldest Collection from Elvis. It looks like the Love Letters album front and back, but in actual fact it is, as its title suggests, a collection of older hits from the 50s and 60s. And there are plenty of downright bizarre releases in here as well. So if I can find one for you, that's quite a good cover. Cheap looking, but good. Here's a particular favourite of mine, What's I Say on the Damido label. They evidently couldn't find a record for this release, but I'm sure it existed because there are lots of other Damido releases in the book. What's I Say, with Elvis Presley performing Viva Las Vegas and somebody called Dunny Williams performing White on White. On the back cover, Elvis's name is correct, but the song title has become Viva Las Vegas. And also on here, you've got Chanel of Love by the Dixie Cups, as well as other misspelt classics. So a few favorites of mine in the book are, well, there's a lot, but I've just picked out a few to show you. This one here, Elvis for Everyone, South Korean release on the Oscar record label, with two photos of Anne Margaret there instead of the track listings. The track listing is actually different from the overseas American version of Elvis for Everyone. There are one or two songs that are similar, but not many. They do like a bit of Anne Margaret in Asia. Here's another one from South Korea, another Viva Las Vegas LP. This one is called Love in Las Vegas. One thing I noticed as well about quite a few of the albums in here, quite a lot of them had The Lady Loves Me on them. And there is another one, if I can find that for you. Another favorite of mine. Here we go, another Love in Las Vegas album. Very cheap looking, but also strangely appealing design here. And it's got all the songs, many of the songs that you can actually hear in the movie. She Loves Me, that's obviously The Lady Loves Me. Common, everybody. And Cheek to Cheek, which of course was the song where the black guys are performing with Elvis and Margaret dancing. Everything Got in Need You. Any idea what that is? And then the next song we have here is Precipitation. Presumably that is Anne Margaret's song, Appreciation. So if you want to get a flavour of Elvis's Asian LP releases, this book is a 4-course meal with dessert and coffee. I've picked it up quite a few times since I've got it, and I always learn something new. It's very well made, it's very well laid out, and it's very absorbing. And it does what a good discography should. It makes you want to go out there, get hold of the records, and listen to the music. Okay, finally, I just want to return to the topic of last week's video, which was the source of the music on these Taiwanese pressings of Elvis's Golden Story. And I theorized that the Japanese pressed these records and sent them to Taiwan. And because they have the same matrix numbers as Japanese copies, and they sound exactly the same. Anyway, Dick Decker, who wrote the book we just looked at, he contacted me and said he has other Taiwanese records, not just Golden Story, but other LP titles with Japanese matrix numbers. And not only that, but he even has Korean albums with Japanese matrix numbers. So it looks like I've opened a real can of worms there. However, Dick did suggest an alternative theory to the one I propose, and that is that the Taiwanese somehow got hold of a Japanese stamper. And another viewer also sent a comment to me, Young LP Lovers, I think, yeah, Young LP Lovers. He has his own channel as well, so check him out. He also suggested the same thing, that probably the Taiwanese got hold of a Japanese stamper. I think that's a pretty persuasive argument, and on reflection, I think they're probably right, that the Taiwanese more likely got hold of a Japanese stamper through some contact at Victor. How it happened is one thing, but it seems certain that the Japanese and Taiwanese releases of that LP, at least Elvis's Golden Story, came from the same source. That's my revised theory, and I'm sticking to it. That's it for this week. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers.